Totally.
So what are we knitting today? What do you?
I am still working on a Christmas knit for my niece. So there won't be any spoilers for her because she like requested everything and almost designed it down to like me adding a collar and adjusting the neckline so it's more conservative. It's a honey bop cardigan. I've obviously just started it. I'm on the back.
Oh my gosh, I love it.
Yeah. So this pattern is by Poison Girls, and they do a lot of like really cute little like 50s inspired cardigans.
I have done a Poison Girl sweater too. I did the she did the Christmas sweater, right? The Betty and Judy Lodge. I did a Betty and Judy Lodge sweater a couple years ago. Love Poison Girls patterns.
Yeah. Every time they put out a new pattern, I'm like, oh, great. Okay.
I know.
Buy a sweater quantity now.
I'm not working on my Christmas knits right now because it is a surprise. So I've had to like, oh darn, an excuse to knit for myself again for an hour or so. So I'm working on a couple things. I'm working on this hat, which is it's hard to see the design because I'm using really variegated yarn.
Yeah.
It's one of the Caitlin Hunter hat patterns, and I'm holding two yarns together. Ooh. So this yarn is by Chelsea Yarns. It's the their DK weight. This is one of the Nitty City colorways.
Oh, yes.
Specifically for the store I work at when I'm in New York.
My personal yarn store in New York as well.
Yes. Yeah. So I've really enjoyed working there the last, like 6 years or so, and it's just been the most wonderful balance with singing. And, I love working there. And unfortunately, the owner of the store recently passed away, and it's just really a sad loss. And I was there about a couple weeks before she passed away. And, because I was actually bringing my stuff back from New York to California for 16 years.
You and I have both had a month.
No kidding. And so it just felt right to knit something with yarn that was specific to the store in remembrance of Pearl. And so I have this hat I'm working on, and then my like lives in my purse, and I work on it when I'm in line at CVS project, are some Christmas socks.
Those are cute.
Yeah.
Nice.
This you can't tell, but this one has sparkle in it.
Oh no! Oh yeah, I totally can see that.
Yeah.
That's
So, Christmas socks, because it is the season. Yeah. Project.
Yeah.
I always have a sock that lives in my bag. Like it's the perfect standing in line at the grocery store project.
Oh, that's smart. Yeah, I need to put like a sock in my bag.
Yeah, and just like a vanilla sock pattern, like the same, just the whatever plain.
You're just going in circles in the whole thing
forever until you turn your heel, and then you're going in circles again as you do the gusset and stuff like that. So
nice. I'm knitting with just basic good old fashioned, I think it's Madeline Tosh. Yeah, it's Madeline Tosh. I'm on a finger weight, so very tiny needles. And then some random white nonsense from my stash, which
we love nonsense from the stash.
Which has grown exponentially because during the election, I was so stressed out that I decided I would go to every yarn store in Southern Maine, which, because we're a woodsy folk and not much happens in our state, is like a significant number of stores. And I bought an obscene amount of yarn.
Well, I 100% support you. I'm a certified yarn enabler.
You're not helping. Nope, I'm not. We're doing our Christmas knits. I'm feeling the sadness of not having my sort of Christmas concerts this year.
I am missing Messiah like something else.
Yeah, I think, one thing people probably know or don't know is like pretty much Messiah is like the Christmas Carol of the classical world.
It's the Nutcracker.
Yeah, it's the Nutcracker.
It's like, holiday bread and butter.
Yeah. And I always have this thing where I'm like, oh God, it's Messiah season. And then like the second the overture starts, I'm like, this is awesome. I still cry at the end. Like,
oh my God, of course. Yeah. It is one of those things where like, the Messiah, you're like, oh my God, I have to sit on stage for like ever. And the soprano gets shafted because you're on stage forever. And then you stand up and sing Rejoice Greatly.
Right.
And then there's an admission.
Unless you do the full thing, and then you pretty much get to like bring us home at the end, which is glorious. But
Right. But, so I'm always like, oh my God, we have to be on stage the whole time and whatever. But then again, like you get on stage and you hear the orchestra start and it's like, oh my God, this is awesome. And I have the best seat in the house acoustically,
Yeah, and the chorus is like wailing.
Oh yeah. And usually I'm on like near the violins and I just want to lean back into the sound coming out of that orchestra.
Yes. I always have the problem that if it's a sing along, I end up like blowing out my voice because I sing along with all of the choruses because I started out in chorus work. And so like I know a lot of those choruses really well. And by the end of it, I'm like, oh God, what have I done? I have to do this again tomorrow night. I have nothing left.
But you make a good point. Like I will sometimes, because I have to sort of stay warm for a long time of just sitting before Rejoice, I will often like hum along with the choir just to keep things.
You don't have to get warm if you stay warm.
Yes. If you stay warm, what's that RuPaul said? If you stay ready, you don't have to get ready.
Have you had to do the 12/8
Rejoice? I have not ever performed it, but I have totally nerded out in like a practice room going, oh my God, my brain. And it's so cool. It's so much fun.
I love it. I actually like it more than the other one. I think it's more fun.
Honestly, either
this like boozy sense to it that's very like someone put too much rum in their eggnog.
I know. It's like, all right, now we're gonna do it again, but jazzy.
Yeah, exactly. I have this like weird fantasy that I entertain every year that it would probably only work if we're doing a Baroque one where everything's down a half step, because Baroque pitch is usually tuned a half step lower just because that's what God wanted at the time. But I have this fantasy that like the soprano gets very, very sick and I basically have to do a one-woman Messiah. And because I'm like a fake mezzo or like a Stishin Fach, I'm like between voices, I could maybe pull it off at 4:15.
I love it. I love it. Well, I mean, with, all the Messiahs gone with the pandemic, I feel like all the rules are out the window. So if you want to do a one woman, Messiah, I say go for it.
I know I want to hear yours. You could probably do it.
Oh my God. I want to hear the trumpets shall sound.
I have to do it like every baritone though.
In octave. Yeah.
I mean, what other Christmassy thing? Like, have you ever had to do like Christmassy galas where you have to sing like ridiculous pop songs that are not entirely meant for our voice? I mean, we've all been enjoying the greatest gift of 2020, which is Jonas Kaufmann's recording of
Christmas album.
This Is You by Mariah Carey, which is the best.
It is the best. It is the best part of 2020 so far. Yeah. But I just love that he did 40 tracks. I mean, why not?
More than 42. He did 42. More than 42.
I love it. Like, why not? We're not limited to the like data constrictions of a CD anymore. Like, instead of having to choose, I mean, seriously, like instead of having to choose, your favorite Christmas songs, do all of them. Right now we need all the cheer we can get.
And he's an international opera star. So why limit yourself to the one audience of like America? Let people pick and choose the various Christmas tunes they want to hear.
But seriously, like sing all the music. I think that is a legitimate response to, the COVID restrictions on our performance life. Sing all the songs.
Sing whatever you want at this point.
Yes. Oh my gosh.
And most of that CD I think is actually phenomenal. It's just and then on the other side of that, did you see that Annie Lennox put out Dido's Lament?
Excuse me, what?
Oh girl, that's good.
That sounds like it would just be amazing.
It's unbelievable. And that's another one of those moments where I'm like, oh, okay. I mean, she's not trying to be an opera singer. She's just like singing Dido's Lament as Annie Lennox. And so she's not letting the style wear her. She's just like repurposing the outfit. And it's fabulous.
Oh, okay. All right. I've looked it up. I've saved it. I'm going to watch it.
What like goofy Christmas songs have you had to?
Oh, well, here's the thing. It's not so much the single song. The best one is when they put together a medley and there's, and you put together like, cruise ship style medley, which I mean, you know what I mean? It's just crowd pleaser or whatever. And I love it, especially when there's lots of key changes.
Mm-hmm.
You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Gratuitous key changes.
Gratuitous key changes.
No
Oh
one's
my
waiting.
God, I love it. I love it. Oh,
No one's handling these well.
yeah. I just love it. You know, when you do a medley and there's lots of key changes and it's like,
Yeah. Well, like,
now come with me into D major.
right. Well, let's be honest. Do we like heavily practice some of those pieces? Because no, if you want me to sing like a Christmas tune, I'm gonna like maybe sight read it for you. Maybe.
I mean, also a lot of those are the ones that we all just know from,
Right.
you know.
Right. But if you're putting like 6 key changes into Silent Night that I'm not used to from my days as a church singer.
Yeah, there you go.
I have one amazing like Christmas story where we were doing like a donor event. It was like a luncheon for the local like symphony donors or whatever.
Cool.
And it was Christmas themed. So we went in and I was told that I would be singing Baby It's Cold Outside with a tenor friend. And he forgot every single word to this duet except for Baby It's Cold Outside. So any words other than that just didn't happen. So he goes, Baby It's Cold Outside. I was like, I really can't stay. Baby It's Cold Outside. I gotta go away. This welcome has been so very nice. So I was basically just talking to myself throughout this whole duet.
Amazing.
Which makes the female singer sound the most desperate because she's basically inventing this invitation that's not happening.
She's like, no, I gotta go.
I won't.
The other person's
Okay,
like,
I'll stay.
yeah, okay, you gotta go. Got it. No, I really can't say. I really gotta go. And the other, yeah, great.
Peace. Your Uber's here. And I'm like,
and
okay, I'll stay.
That reminds me of the Kristen Wiig sketch in the 20s where she's like, don't make me sing. Don't make me sing. And they're like, okay, you don't have to. She's like, oh, don't make me sing.
Okay.
Okay. Ooh, I just totally messed up the gain on my. I'm just gonna put things down.
Fine, I'll sing. That's another thing too. When you go home for the holidays and your family like tells you that they want you to sing, and we're all like low-key annoyed because it's like, ugh, it's my vacation. I don't want to work. But if they don't ask me to sing, I'm like, do they not love me anymore?
No, right? Do you not want to like
Not like me?
for the one thing that I do with my
At least do me the courtesy of letting me, like, be a fan.
Give me the opportunity to be ticked off. Thank you.
Right.
Oh my God.
So when I was in Maine, another thing that I did while I was in Maine was go to this amazing thing we have called Martin's, which is basically like Big Lots, but specific to Maine. So they get all of the like past sale date cereal, and like if a warehouse burns down, all of those products will show up at Martin's. Which
wow.
in
Hopefully
Maine,
that
happens Martin's. Yeah. Oh, it's the best. And so you can go there and spend like $30 and get like a whole new wardrobe. I love this place. And I always go there to buy like socks and things because it's the, there's always a surplus of socks. And I got these like lammy, you can't see their face. This is the most yoga I've done in decades. I got these like lammy little
perfect. I love it.
I can't take them off my feet because they're so soft and comfy and they look like lambs.
Something about that, right? About like soft, cozy, squishy.
I'm just embracing my like old soul, old lady self during quarantine now. I'm like, yeah, just all I want to do is like knit by the fire with bourbon and socks.
Yeah. I mean, I'm looking over at the spinning wheel that I own and operate. I used to have a blog. I'm not kidding. And I can't believe I used to have a blog, a knitting blog called My Early Granny-Like Tendencies.
Early onset granny.
I stopped it. Obviously the title really trips off the tongue. Like, I don't know why it didn't take off.
We should rename this Early Onset Grannies.
Early Onset Grannies. Yeah, that's definitely part of my brand.
Oh, in that same production of Traviata where I was playing Flora, there was a moment where it was a little anachronistic because I was definitely in like a 19th century ball gown where I was like a little corset and like a big poofy skirt. But during sort of Flora's party, I had to get up on a table and basically drop it like it was hot. And I was like basically pole dancing on this table, and all of the men are throwing their money at me.
Another day at the office, obviously.
Another day at the office. It's okay. I'm playing a sex worker, and she's very aware of and in control of herself. You know, she's definitely like the Missy Elliott style sex worker, in my opinion. You know, she's ahead of the game. So she's staying ahead of the game. But I would look down, and I believe it was my marquee, who was being played by Brent Ryan. I don't know if you know Brent.
Oh,
yeah. He's the best.
Are you kidding me?
We'll have to shout him out in this. Brent had a pile of money and was going like this.
Of course.
As I'm dancing in 19th century ball gown.
I love it. Oh my God. I love Brent. He's just the best. And yeah, he definitely, I got to have a knife held to my throat by Brent Ryan. Isn't that just lovely?
He would take care of you.
Yeah. Like, you know, yeah, the way he threatened my life was just so professional and sweet. It was just really a pleasure to have my life threatened.
That's real though, because I know that I did a production of Romeo and Juliet by Gounod, and I was playing Stefano. And at one point, the sort of idea with Stefano in this production was that she was kind of gender nonconforming. You didn't
fabulous,
very androgynous, so you really couldn't tell if it was a girl or a boy.
Oh,
right. And what they would do was when, you know, I've sung my aria and I'm harassing and trying to start a fight with the Capulets, which man, they would at one point catch me and basically assault me. They would sexually assault me. So it was an attempted rape on stage, which is a very intense experience to do. And so you want to make sure that the people you're working with care about you and are actually like checking in with you.
Yeah. Clear boundaries and lots of trust.
Yeah. And it was intense because the guy who was playing Tybalt was like the sweetest baby angel in the world, but also one of the best actors I think I've ever worked with. And so he would just transform on stage from like my lovable friend to, you know, who's got like 2 babies who all he wants to do is show me the pictures of his kids and the like pictures he's drawn that day, into like the scariest rapist. And I was like, this is some Ted Bundy stuff. Oh my God.
Yeah, no, but I know what you mean. It's extraordinary to behold, actually.
Yeah. There are a couple of times I was like, I can't actually talk to you right now. Like, I'm not upset. You didn't cross any boundaries, but you scared the out of me. And I need a minute. So.
Well, it's almost more jarring because when they are those people that that are just such a pleasure to be around, that you're friends with, and that you do have such trust with, you know,
I imagine Brent would be like, must have been your Nero in Popea. Okay. So speaking of Ted Bundy type characters, Nero is like.
Yeah, no, he was absolutely extraordinary. And yes, would absolutely turn on a dime. And we would, you know, luckily over the course of the production, we're able to sort of grow, you know, and work on that scene. I was Rizilla in that production.
Nice.
And so the interrogation scene, and you know, he would always ask permission, like, hey, is it okay if I try this tonight? And I, you know, like, do I like always seeking consent before, because when you improv in a torture scene, that you can't, like,
no, it's dangerous.
That's, you know, you've got to respect boundaries, even if it's your best friend. You've got to have very clear communication. And it just made it even more of a thrill to play, because there was always this very clear communication off stage, you know, before trying something new and pushing
well, even just getting it every night, being like, we're about to go into a really intense scene, I want to know how you're feeling. Like, that's such a nice thing to have happen. And it's not commonly taught to ask for consent, not just in every rehearsal, but in like every night you're doing the show. I mean, we do fight calls where if there's a choreographed fight with like swords and stuff, so you got to run through it. So that way
we have like the fight call equivalent for those kinds of things. What I also appreciate is when directors understand that. And I've had several shows where I've had scenes where there was lots of physical, like sexually kind of contact, or maybe the removal of clothing, things like that, you know, I've had to do, or my scene partners had to do. And what I've really appreciated is more often than not, the director will say, okay, when we first start, you know, the initial stages of staging this, it's just going to be you guys, me, and the pianist.
Yeah.
No one else needs to
build that trust.
Yeah. No one needs to be here while we do that, you know, chipping away at it, you know, that specific work on trying to figure out, okay, what are we doing now? And what do we feel comfortable with? No one else needs to be there for that. Right. And then finally, when you've rehearsed it enough and you sort of edited it down into the scene that you want, then there's a little bit more trust with having other people in there. But I've always appreciated when directors in scenes that involve,
right,
you know, like those kinds of scenes, when you start in this just very safe, resting, small room space kind of thing, and then and helping to build trust. I
appreciate too.
But see, that's why I love rehearsal.
I miss rehearsal.
I love
the
collaborative act, but also the curiosity. I love the exploration. I love now let's try it this way. You know, I love the you know, trying out different subtexts and trying out different, I love the play. I love the searching. I love the trying it out. I just adore it. I miss, in some ways, I love performing, but in some ways I almost prefer rehearsal to live performance, because
you learn so much during a rehearsal. You learn not only about your character and about what you're going to do and the sort of like nitty gritty of like, where am I going to stand? But like, you learn these philosophical questions that your characters start to teach you about yourself.
100%.
You know, you learn how to be a parent if you're playing Carabino, because this poor kid is such a train wreck of a human that you're like, oh, this is what it's like to be 13 and 15 years old. You don't know what's going on. You have an entire aria called "I Don't Know What I'm Doing."
Yeah, and I don't know what's happening to my body and my
but I like it.
But I don't, like, okay, but this is new and I like don't get it. Oh, Carabino. I would freaking love for a doctoral student in psychology to do their thesis on Carabino.
So my mom was a psych nurse, and I remember the first time she ever saw Marriage of Figaro, she read the whole thing on Wikipedia first, and she texted me and she goes, every single one of these has a diagnosis. Every person in this show is out of their mind.
I love it.
Oh my God.
That's right. Your mom's a psych nurse and both my parents are shrinks.
Yep.
No wonder we're friends.
Yep.
Oh my God. That got kind of serious for a second, but it's also very true and very real. And I know.
Keep it in, because it's important. I want every director to hear that you need to take your time, or, dare I say, hire an intimacy director.
Hello. Intimacy coaches are a thing.
I love my stage director friends, but you don't have to be all things.
Yep. It's okay to bring in an intimacy coach.
And it's almost better, because then I'm not, dealing with the intimacy I have with my stage director. I have like another party. I have like a seventh party who's working through this with me. It's not, how often has the fight choreographer just been like a baritone in the cast who has taken a couple classes?
I know. A lot of houses, they put a fight choreographer into the budget. Like that is prioritized. So and I hope to see that.
I get stabbed. So
yes. Oh my God. I also
miss prudent.
I miss stage combat. I miss it all. I know for an absolute fact, the first time I step into rehearsal again, whenever that ends up being, I'm gonna bawl like a little.
It's Flatermouse. You and I are gonna just be train wrecks.
Oh, 100%. Like
crying through the champagne arias, which is like the happiest music in the world.
I know. Like just thinking about it is starting to like.
No.
Yeah, it's just I really can't wait for that day to come.
Yep. Come on, vaccines. Come on.
Yeah,
do what
it's
you gotta
okay.
do to keep yourself sane and keep yourself afloat. But like, cut as many corners as you can at this point, you know?
Exactly. And one of the ways we keep ourselves sane, needles
Knitting.
and yarn.
It produces the same brain waves as Zen meditation.
Yes. Well, it's definitely a huge part of like my spiritual practice, almost like meditation practices.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I did once go to a phenomenal meditation knitting retreat. Like it was like a Buddhist knitting retreat in Vermont.
Oh, cute. Of course,
In
that
like
happens in Vermont.
part
Does
of
it happen in Vermont or like Vancouver?
yeah, no. It totally happened in Vermont, in the Northeast Kingdom. So there was like 8 feet of snow. It was the most wonderful thing ever, and it was only like 4 days or so, and it still impacted me. Just and they incorporated meditation and knitting and mindfulness and yoga, and it was a beautiful way of sort of elevating for someone who knits not a small amount like myself, where knitting is part of my daily life, like my exercise and like eating and drinking and whatever. It's just part of my
most consistent form of meditation that I do, for sure.
It's certainly the most portable.
Yeah. I have a Headspace account, which is on my phone, so that's pretty portable. But
that too. But I mean, like, how many times I've just been in a stressful situation, or on the subway.
You don't need to drag a yoga mat with you. You can always have a sock in your purse.
Socks in your purse.
Socks in your purse. I'm making leg warmers.
Yes. Oh my God.
My next cast on is going to be a hat for myself.
Oh, good.
Out of this gorgeous beast.
Oh my God. What is that?
It's a bulky weight, which to me, after knitting almost exclusively on fingering weight,
must feel like tree trunks.
And also like it's going to take me like 45 minutes to make a hat.
Yeah, no, you'll sneeze and it will knit itself.
It'll knit itself. I haven't picked a pattern. I think I'm going to knit something without a pattern, but it's from one of the yarn stores in Maine called Mother of Pearl, which is in Freeport, which is where LL Bean is.
Mother of Pearl.
Yeah. And they have like a mermaid holding a skein of yarn. And this is their, I think, in-house dyed yarn, and it's called mixed berry pie.
Beautiful. I love it.
Really nice. And it's a nice, I think it's a full merino. I think it's a merino, full merino.
Oh, gorgeous.
I always say I'm going to be adventurous and buy something other than merino, and I never am. So.
Hilarious.
Never.
Well, I have to finish my Christmas knitting, but one of the projects I will be casting on soon. Well, first of all, I'm partaking in a knit along, a KAL, with some friends doing the notorious RBG sweater.
Ooh, which one? The
Knit-torious RBG. Okay, so
RBG sweaters out there, and as you know, I've been knitting the Descent cowl, which for those who don't know what a cowl is, basically a scarf that's attached, so it's like a circle. Yeah. And all of these sweaters have like her famous yokes that are her doilies that she would wear, sort of knit into it, much the way I have designs knit into my yoke.
Yes. So this one is designed by Park Williams, and it looks like that.
Yes, that's the one I wanted to do because it's got those nice puffy sleeves.
Yes. So that's, I've learned, is called a bishop sleeve.
Oh, cool.
You know. Yeah, so there she is, looking like a badass.
Yes. Have you guys started this call yet or no?
I am casting on probably later tonight. I'd love to just get through the color work. And then it'll be like, it's just all stockinette, otherwise stockinette in the round. But also this year, I'm doing a knitter's advent calendar.
Cute. Is that one of those ones where like they send you the yarn, or is this like a different project for every day?
Oh, really good question. So this is one where you buy the advent calendar, and every day you get a mini skein and you knit that chunk of the pattern.
Oh, good. So is it a mystery? Is it a mystery knit along?
It is. Well, this one they gave the pattern, and you know it's a shawl. And in this one, she actually did put up a picture in it. Here, I can get it. It's just over here.
I always want to join the calls, but
Oh yeah,
I
Mystery
don't-
Knit Along is where every week you get the next section of a pattern, and you know what you're making. You know if you're making a hat, a scarf, or whatever, but you don't know what it's going to look like until it's done. And every week, usually for 4 to 6 weeks, or most MKLs, you get the next chunk of the pattern, and so you don't know what it'll look like until the end. So I figure if like once a year I relinquish control for a second, I'm not type A at all. What? What?
The like inner dialogue I have every time Stephen West does his annual M call. I'm like, am I going to do it this year? Am I going to do it?
But you've got to.
And like, I am also that person who will spoiler every show. I'm Googling what happened at the end of the episode when the episode starts, because I can't handle it.
Really?
It drives my husband bananas. He's like, don't spoil it. Don't spoil it. I'm like, too late.
Oh my gosh. Well, it might be a good exercise for you, because also like Stephen is such a wonderful designer. Like he's going to guide you on a beautiful journey.
That's true.
He's just has this beautiful artistic viewpoint.
Oh
I love it. It has really influenced my knitting, because it's encouraged me to break the rules that I thought I was imposing upon myself. And he's definitely,
these are not your grandma's shawls.
No. And they're always the pieces that I end up reaching for. They're so singular. Yeah. And I really adore the way his engineering mind works and everything like that. But back to my advent calendars. I'm doing 2 this year. So our local yarn store, Make One, they're having their advent calendar. And then Amanda Rios, one of the owners, she has her own yarn line, Buku. She with her own yarn line is also having her own advent calendar.
I think I bought some from them recently. I bought like a skein of sock yarn that was just like, I went in there to get something else, and then I saw this and was like, I have to have that yarn.
No, it's gorgeous. Her colors, her viewpoint and color is wonderful. So basically the way it works is there's the pattern, and like here, this is day 4. So you'll, or whatever. And then and like every once in a while, scattered throughout the advent calendar are extra goodies, like maybe some stitch markers or a little like mini thingy, whatever. And then on the last,
if there's a knitter in your life, guys, just buy them a bunch of stitch markers. That's all we want for Christmas.
Always. And they're like bobby pins or like socks. You know how you always end up losing one no matter what?
I was playing with my husband and I was knitting, and he looked over at me and saw this look cross my face, and he goes, "Oh God, you dropped your stitch marker, didn't you?" And I go, and he starts looking around and like digging, and he turned around, and there was this sweet older couple behind us, and he goes, "I'm so sorry. Do you mind looking under your seat? My wife dropped one of her like knitting things." And the woman goes, "Is it a stitch marker?" He's like, "Yeah." She's like, "I'm a knitter too," and like dove under the seat to find. Sweet woman found it. She's like, "I hate losing these." I was like, "Thank you so much."
In the coin part of my wallet.
Yep.
Because that's a normal thing people do. Anyway, and I will admit, I may or may not have bought a doggy advent calendar for my dog.
Sure did. I love advent calendars.
I'm single and my dog is my little companion. So I bought him
married and my dog is my little companion. My kids on the regular are like, "We know you love the dog more than us, and that's okay." Like, we get it.
It's fine. See, as long as they know, I wanted it. I grew up with both cats and dogs, and I love them both. But being a nomad for 7 years, I really wanted to get a dog. And even my manager, she was like, "Honey," she referred to it as a diva dog. She's like, "Honey, you need a diva dog. You need a little dog that comes with you." And I really, really wanted one for. I actually do prefer bigger dogs. I prefer like big dogs that I can go running with and like
cuddle with.
Yes,
I want to spoon with the dog.
Yeah, I want a dog that like competes with the space on the bed. Which I know, whatever, but my dog 100% sleeps in my bed, and that's all there is to it. But anyway, and so I got Bingley, and he's just been my little buddy. And I definitely, I mean, animals, I think, have been helping a lot of people get through the pandemic.
You know, I think if you were ever one of those people who was like, oh, emotional support animals are so silly, like they're really not. I've actually had to explain that to a couple people in my family who are like, oh, well, you know, some people really need them. I was like, I really need them. Like,
Yeah.
I'm sad and lonely on the road all the time. I don't know anybody in the towns I'm in. I have social anxiety already. And like, it would be really nice to come home to somebody I recognize and who loves me unconditionally.
Yeah. And also, it's just, dogs are also like social lubricant. You know what I mean?
Everyone wants to talk to you. If you
Everyone, and it's just, dogs are the great, like, I don't care who you are and what your beliefs are in mind. Like, we all, for the most part, love dogs. Like, obviously there's some people who are afraid of dogs, but like, or are more cat people. But for the most part, especially cute little fluffy guy who he's literally flaked out right now, like, draw me like one of your French girls. He's like, he's just sort of like in that position.
He's given up. He's done for the day.
100%. No, we might.
Did we do it?
I think maybe we did it.
I think we did it.
Okay. Cool.
Okay. Bye.
Anyway. Yay.